And those of you who know me well know that I'm a very emotional person. Thank you, Scott. We all have a lot to do, don't we? Maybe you're thinking about your very long to-do list, or maybe you're doing it right now. No doubt, this is a very busy time. But I hope that something I say this morning resonates with you as we all begin a new school year. I am humbled to be here with you today as your colleague, your partner, and your friend. I would not be here without the guidance of so many talented and inspirational people. You all have allowed me to stand on your shoulders and have supported me in countless ways. It is ultimately because of my colleagues, my students, and my parents that I decided to finally say yes to the process. And today, in this moment, it is not really about me. It's about my parents, my kids, seeing their mom go for it, to celebrate my school family, and to do my very best job representing the most talented, dedicated, and professional group of teachers and administrators around all of you. To my friends and colleagues at Central Office, I thank you for your praise and encouragement. Your support means a lot to me. To my entire Wolcott family, we come to school each and every day, and we do the hard work as a family. We look out for every student and each other. It's a very special place indeed. Thank you, and I love you all. Scott, I'm going to single you out, even though I know you hate it, but too bad. You deserve to be recognized for your profound impact that you've had in our school in such a short time. You are the epitome of a leader. Humble, kind, dedicated, tenacious, generous, compassionate, flexible, a great listener, and you always make us laugh. To my team, Steve, Matt, Cindy, I am proud to say that I'm a part of our team and that I get to work with you, my friends. Thank you for being there for me every step of the way. You give me hope, encouragement, love, and your time, which is the precious gift. Leah Clayton, Michelle Sebastianelli, my soul sisters, you and I have been through a lot together, and you've lifted me up so many times. You claim to learn, that you have learned so many things from me, but you failed to realize I have learned just as much from you. And to my family, my mother-in-law, Marcia, thank you for being here and for all of your support through the years. My husband, Steve, who has always supported me in and out of the classroom. He's always ready to move something, lift something, hang something, build something, or he just listens. And he always puts up with the, I'm leaving in 5 minutes, but he really knows it's 50 minutes or an hour and 50 minutes later that I actually arrive home. Steve is the first person in the room or the conversation who always honors what teachers do and defends us. And to my children who are here, Chloe and Chase, I'm the very proud parent of these two teenagers. I am blessed to have you both. You are mature beyond your years, responsible, independent, hardworking, and genuinely kind and funny people. You are the reason that I strive to be the teacher that I am, the teacher I would hope you to have. Chloe's a senior this year, and Chase is a freshman in Southington. And this summer, we actually helped Chloe buy a car. And do you know what that means? I get to quit my part-time job. This is the first summer, first school year ever since Chloe was born that I will not have to drive someone to school or to daycare. And of course, my parents. My dad, as you heard, teacher at Brayburn. I still remember his perfect cursive handwriting on the chalkboard, and I would marvel at how the heck he did that without lines or help, and it was literally perfect, every single formation. He always was involved in really cool things with his fifth graders. Mom, also a teacher in Southington, math and science. What I always remembered her doing is she put her students at the center of her work and at the center of her heart. They both have had to do some pretty hard things in their life. Through their example, my role models, I figure if they can do it, why can't I? Dad always takes care of others. He actually ran the New York City Marathon when he was 55 years old, his first marathon, but it wasn't for him. It was to help raise money for a family member who was ill. He also had the difficult moment of saying goodbye to his identical twin brother. Can you imagine? Mom, a cancer survivor, and recently no longer a diabetic, was recently diagnosed with Alzheimer's. I know the future will be very hard, and those of you who have had to deal with the same diagnosis in your family probably know that too well. But Mom, she's not a quitter. She's a fighter, and instead of complaining, what did she do? She decided for her 80th birthday this past April that she would go to New York City and appear on her favorite weather show and declare on national TV that she had Alzheimer's, and she shared her story. And on the ride home this May, after the WHEA dinner, my parents were in the back seat of my car, and I will always remember the moment my dad said, "I am so glad that I am alive to witness this moment." And I know my mom feels exactly the same way. That's why I am here right now. These are my heroes. I am the one up here today, not because I am the best person, but because throughout my career, I have managed to build bridges with students and families and colleagues. Everyone gets to be really good at something, or at least one thing, and I'm really good at building bridges, largely in part because of those people in my life who have built them with me and for me. Here are 3 stories that I would like to share with you, short, that will illustrate what I'm talking about. I step into a conference room with my 9 perfect student portfolios, and I sit down. The reading specialist asks me, "So, how's it going?" Simple question. I started to cry. And then I lost it. I don't mean little bit. It was an ugly cry. By the looks on their faces, I could tell they were just as surprised as I was. This certainly was not the way I had intended this meeting to go. I became vulnerable in that moment, which was at first slightly embarrassing, I must say, but I had to be honest with myself and with others. I needed help, which is a really hard thing for me to accept. In order for others to help me, I had to open that door. I didn't necessarily expect it to burst open like fireworks, but nonetheless. It didn't matter how much time I had put in, how much effort I gave, or how much love I had for my students, or how much expert teaching there was. I had hit a wall. With all my good intentions, it wasn't enough, and I couldn't do it alone, and part of that felt like failure. Suddenly, without even asking, there were tissues placed in front of me. There was tea on this side. There was cold water on this side. Somebody was rubbing my shoulders. I still don't know who. Obviously, with the intention of calming me down. And then we had our first, let's help Jen brainstorming session. Everyone at the table shared ideas to not only build bridges for me, but to encourage me to build my own. I was able to set some new goals, attainable goals. Perhaps not crying at the next meeting was the first one. Ideas were shared, things I had never even thought of. My friends were there to help me. I didn't have all the answers. I had to accept help from others. Building a bridge is a two-way street. Sometimes we build them for ourselves, and sometimes we build them for others. It's the summer of 1998, and I'm watching a boy in a wheelchair roll up to the steps. I'm also watching his parents. They're here for a family party. I see the look on the boy's face and his parents when they realize they aren't going to get up those steps. It's a mountain of steps, 22 in all, and I am totally devastated. I am devastated because the little boy in the wheelchair is my nephew. We all stood there looking at each other for a while. An employee came over and immediately apologized and said he was calling the manager to see what could be done. And then another employee came and asked a few questions. My sister, I could hear her reply, saying, "No, we can't lift Josh out of his chair because he has Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and that means his muscles in his legs are contracted and his joints are immovable. So that's a no." Clearly, nothing could be done. This was the only entrance. Another worker showed up and offered no new suggestions, and it became clear that Joshua wasn't going to attend the party that day. I looked around, 8 people standing, doing nothing except probably worrying. And then it was the 9th person who offered, "Why can't we just carry him up the stairs in his wheelchair?" I looked at my sister and then at Joshua, and I could see they were both absolutely terrified of this suggestion. My sister, probably because, are you kidding me, a 300-pound motorized wheelchair up a flight of 22 steps, not even knowing who these people are? How could she trust them with this task? And then I looked at my nephew. Complete look of anxiety, scared to death. How could he let these 9 people who he's never met before in his life do this task? And then he said yes. His power of courage was tapped. And in the next moment, those 9 employees, strangers that they had never met, were carrying my nephew, 300-pound wheelchair, up the flight of 22 stairs. No landing, no corners, a straight shot up the stairs, all of us holding our breath. His wheels were on the ground safely, and then he smiled. I'm in my 5th grade classroom, finishing up a math lesson. Clear learning targets, student-centered instruction, getting ready for small groups. And then, it's no joke, and then I hear from the back of the room, "You're no stranger to love, you know the rules, and so do I." I'm like, Apparently he didn't know the rules. So what did I do? I walked back to the back of the room and I did what I knew how to do. I joined in. Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you. Well, you know, the Rick Astley song, the really cheesy one from 4 decades ago? Yeah, that one. So he looked at me, his eyes were literally the size of ping pong balls, and I couldn't help but think, this isn't exactly gonna help us with math today. However, and here's a student who kind of, well, to put it mildly, he struggled a bit. On-task behavior obviously was not his forte. We finished the song, the whole song. I guess on-task behavior wasn't my forte that day either. Bridges can appear out of nowhere. A bridge was in place that day, and I had decided to meet my student in the middle. After that day and in the coming months, he transformed. His success grew, and it was actually a really great year for him. I'm cleaning up on the last day of school, after the kids had all gone, and I find a little blue sticky note on my table. And in his words, I read, "Thank you for such a great year. This is the first time I really felt like a capable student, like I could do it. Thanks for believing in me." Joining children in song in the midst of a math lesson is really not my typical strategy. I went to a place I really didn't want to. And I'm also thinking that that boy did not expect to be singing with his teacher that day. I really don't think he wanted a 40-something-year-old woman singing a duet with him. But I let him take the lead, and I found a way to meet him in the middle, and thank God I knew that song. Courage is the foundation of these 3 stories. Courage is me being vulnerable and being able to ask for help when needed. Courage is the waitstaff at that restaurant who carried my nephew 22 steps up into the party, and it's also my nephew who agreed. Courage is singing a Rick Astley song in the end of a math lesson, end of a long division lesson actually, to help connect a student to me, to each other, because that's what he desperately needed. We are the engineers, the architects of our students' futures. It takes courage to do what's hard, build bridges, help others to cross, meet someone in the middle, or take your own necessary steps. And this is imperative in order to clear pathways for our students with no limits, so that, of course, they have bright futures. It takes the power of courage. Transformations occur because of bridges. These things don't just happen. They are choices that we make each and every day. And I had a choice to make. This is... Check. This is the first year that I had decided to accept this nomination. In years past, I, let's say, feared a lot of failure, and I was afraid. I faced my fear, and I'm so happy that I did, because Mom and Dad, you get to see this happen. And my kids and family, they can see me up here doing something hard. And mostly my Wolcott family, we get to share this together because, well, if you don't know Wolcott, it's a place full of love. And building bridges is all about courage and love. I'd gladly walk across the desert with no shoes upon my feet to share with you the last slice of bread I have to eat. I would swim out to save you in your sea of broken dreams when all your hopes are sinking. Let me show you what love means. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? I would whisper love so loudly, every heart would understand that only love and courage can join the hearts of man. I would give my heart's desire so that you might see. The first step is to realize that it all begins with you and me. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? When we stand together, it's our finest hour. We can do anything, anything, if we believe in the power of oh, yes, it can. Don't you think it's time? Love can build a bridge. Indeed it can. Between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? Love can build a bridge. Sing it if you so desire. Between your heart and mine. Woo! I want to thank you, Sarah, and don't believe it's time. My Walcott family, my students and former students and parents, take a bow. Andy Mayo on bass. I'd like to thank Josh Renato on drums. Brian Pia on piano. And Dan Luongo on alto saxophone. Between your heart and mine, love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time?
Jennifer, I need some of your courage. I need to build a bridge with you. Thank you. Thank you on behalf of all of us for inspiring us. Thank you. It is now my honor